This is the tale of Captain Jack Sparrow, pirate so brave in the seven seas.
What?
The popper of the surf, the jester of Tortuga, waving like sway on the ocean breeze. Yeah, we know Jimmy Johns did it. Screw it. So, I think you already guessed what movie we're seeing today. We are seeing the 5th installment of the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. That is right. Pirates of the Caribbean 5, Dead Men Tell No Tales. Honestly, I'm not surprised it took them this long to finally name a movie that.
Yeah.
So, anyway, like most of these movies that we have not seen, that we have not covered on the show before, let's talk about our history with this. When it comes to Pirates of the Caribbean, we have actually experienced a lot about this. Around the time the first one came out, God, 2003.
Yeah, 14 years ago.
But back in 2003, we were going on our first family trip to Disneyland, and we actually rode the original Pirates of the Caribbean ride. Way back before they made changes to it after the second movie came out, after the second and third movie came out and started getting a little traction.
At the time, trailers were playing at the park, at certain stores, and on the televisions in the hotel rooms.
And boy, did they scare the hell out of us.
10 years old, we were not ready for a Disney movie to have that kind of imagery.
Now, granted, we grew older, and we actually did see the first Pirates movie when it came out on DVD about a year later.
Then we saw the second movie when it came out on DVD a couple months after that.
Anyway, after that, but then the third movie came out. We also missed that one in theaters in the first run, but we actually managed to get it in the last run out of Discount Theater, the same theater we actually did the first episode of the show at. And honestly, our feelings towards Pirates of the Caribbean are somewhat more positive than most other people's.
We like this franchise. Johnny Depp is funny for the most part. The action is very creative. The special effects are always great.
And honestly, it's just a bunch of great popcorn movies. Now, the fourth one, honestly, is, as many people say, the weakest of the franchise.
However, we haven't seen it since the first time we saw it in theater. Really haven't seen it since the first time we saw it in theaters.
Which just shows how weak it is. We just rewatched the first Pirates last night, and it holds up. So give it another look-see.
But this one is the return of Johnny Depp. It is the return of Orlando Bloom. It is the return of Keira Knightley. And it is the return of Jeffrey Rush.
It is also the introduction of Javier Bardem as Captain Salazar.
We get to see some amazing actors coming back, and some new ones take the stage. We get to see some fun stuff happening. It looks like a Pirates movie, and from what we can tell, it's the beginning of the end of this franchise, which for some, it can't come soon enough, but for us, we're
going to see where it goes,
but ultimately...
And the interesting thing about this is actually the directors. That's right, directors. This is the first Pirates movie to actually have 2 directors. The first 3 had Gore Verbinski, who was a horror director who basically was using the Pirates movies to kind of create his own little story, a tribute to the swashbuckling pirate movies of the golden age of Hollywood.
And if you look at the original franchise, it basically it screams exactly what you think of when you think Gore Verbinski Disney movie.
Then for the fourth movie, Gore Verbinski was not involved, so they got Rob Marshall, which I think was kind of the biggest mistake of the franchise, because why would you get the guy who directed Chicago? Because I'm not knocking Rob Marshall. I've only seen I've half paid attention to Into the Woods on cable, and I've never seen Chicago or anything like that. But I assume he's at least a halfway decent director. Side note, really excited for his work in Mary Poppins Returns. But I think it was kind of a mistake to get Rob Marshall, a guy whose claim to fame was the Best Picture winner for a musical, to direct a Pirates of the Caribbean movie. I mean, it's like getting Damien Chazelle to direct the next installment in the Rings franchise.
Yeah, he did 10 Cloverfield, and he did write 10 Cloverfield Lane.
But anyway, with these two directors, I honestly can't remember their names right now, but I think we have not seen the rest of their features that they've made. But when I first found out that they were directing, I looked at their filmography and found out that I have created the kind of theory in my head that I think the reason Disney hired them was because they directed a few episodes of the short-lived Netflix series Marco Polo. And I have not seen the full season of Marco Polo, but I can say for sure at least the production design and some of the camera angles look pretty decent.
So it's kind of promising. The trailers look good. There's some stuff going on that it looks like it's going to be interesting.
Honestly, the critics have not been doing well on this, but have not been treating it well. But at the very least, it's better than what Baywatch has been getting.
Yeah.
But anyway, right now this is probably a really long intro.
Yeah, this is probably the longest intro we've ever done.
Which we've said a lot, but still, we will see. But we're gonna go in with open minds. Hopefully, this movie won't be a colossal dumpster fire, and we'll see you guys at the jump.
Yep. Alright, guys, we're out in the daytime.
Yeah, Black Pearl is better.
Yeah.
Overall, what would we say about this movie?
It's consistent with the rest.
Yeah. Honestly, it's not terrible.
But it's not the best of the franchise.
But I did love but the ending was perfect.
The ending was really good. But the rest, let's talk about that.
Alright, so essentially, there's a lot of things to talk about here. Let's unpack. Johnny Depp is...
It doesn't matter what his personal life or judging him on his performance. There's nothing more that can be said about Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, essentially it's the same performance he's been giving for the last few movies. He's essentially the only difference is how he's written sometimes. So you get the feeling that's when he first started out as Jack Sparrow, he was let loose a little bit, but they reined him in.
And then when they found out that he was actually the funniest part of the movie, they let him go in the rest of the movies. They just start letting Johnny do more and more work, do more and more to the character, and just go crazy.
But now we're kind of at a point where the
novelty's worn off.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Because there's points where it kind of feels like Jack Sparrow is living surely because of dumb luck.
It seems an awful lot like he's just living staying around because the plot demands that he stay around.
I mean, really, in the first Pirates movie, the thing you got about Jack Sparrow almost immediately was he was never the smartest man in the room, but he was always thinking. He was always the most clever person in the room. He knew his way around. That's why at the very beginning of the first movie, when Norrington has him cornered, he's already thought of a way to get out. Out of the situation. Now it's he's sort of tricking, falling into good fortune. It's like with Die Hard, where John McClane just suddenly became a superhero. Then we've got Javier Bardem playing Capitan Salazar, essentially doing his best impression of Al Pacino as Scarface. His accent was just all over the place. Like at one point, I swear to God, he sounded like Dracula. And then there's a weird cameo by Paul McCartney, which is the funniest part of the movie. Yeah, because it just kind of comes out of nowhere, and then as soon as it happens, never mentioned again. Yeah. Just like with Keith Richards in the last one, too. The only difference being that they didn't make Keith Richards sing a Rolling Stones song. Yeah. And Jeffrey Rocha's Barbosa, what can be said? He's in the movie enough to make an impact. Actually gave us an emotional scene at the end. And if you came to this movie for the return of Keira Knightley and Orlando Bloom,
skip it. Don't even bother.
you'll be disappointed.
Keira Knightley
is in the movie for about as long as David Hasselhoff is in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Except David Hasselhoff at least got to talk. And Orlando Bloom, he's in the movie just a little bit more.
Yeah. And, and what else? There's... okay. So the main female character is a scientist. And she's constant... And kind of the running joke throughout a good chunk of the movie is everyone but he rips off that Monty Python bit. She's a witch, burn her!
Now we found a witch, can we burn her?
But
she turned me into a newt!
But the thing is, the joke wears thin pretty quickly, and also, I'd kind of buy it if they didn't already show women doing stuff. If they didn't already show women doing stuff throughout the rest of this franchise, because we had Keira Knightley, Zoe Saldana, Penelope Cruz, and a whole slew of others, not even just in the movies, in the expanded universe material that they've put out, which, for the record, a good chunk of it has been retconned by this movie.
Yeah. And we also have a bit of the cinematography that is not that is probably the worst. Speaking of bad cinematography, that is probably the worst of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
There's a lot of fight scenes that take place in the dark with characters wearing all black,
and the camera doesn't move or work as dynamically as it did in the first two movies, and that's because we have a different cinematographer than we did the last four movies.
And it kind of gets the and really, it's not that the whole thing is bad. It's shot
relatively decently.
Well. It's shot decently, but the problem is that but it's kind of just mimicking other action movie styles.
The action scene, it's a lot of panning shots. It's a little late. It's just a little bit of lazy camera work when it comes to the action scenes, which is not what you go to a Pirates of the Caribbean movie for.
But the upside is it's not bad editing like Suicide Squad, where they cut weird chunks out of the movie and suddenly move and to move the can and to forget to edit the cuts in sync with the cinematography.
Yeah, and then let's see. We talked about them. Action scenes. There's not a lot of creative action scenes in this, like there was the previous ones.
Yeah, there is one action scene that I think I've seen before. Damn, what movie was it? Angry, Speed and Quick and Angry.
No, Speedy and Pissed Off. It's on the tip of my tongue. I know it's been in another. I think it was in a fifth movie of this thing too.
Yeah, it's weird. It feels. I feel like it's on the tip of my tongue. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Well, it probably isn't that important.
It's not that important, or it's probably a shit franchise anyway.
Yeah, but their action scenes are not very remembered. I can only remember like three, and one in the very beginning, one in the middle, and then the one at the very end.
Honestly, the ending is pretty and like we said before, the ending's pretty awesome.
It's shot well. It's got amazing special effects and sets. And despite the fact that there is something about that they just out of nowhere pull something out of their asses to add a little bit of extra drama that goes away almost immediately.
Yeah, and here's the thing: Mason went to the bathroom a couple times during this movie and came back. And when this little drama edition came in, he leans over to me and says, "Did I miss something in the? Is this one of the things I missed in the bathroom?" No. Oh. Did it get mentioned and I forgot? No. This is. They kind of pulled this out just to kind of get a little bit of extra drama into it, and
it didn't. And it just goes away almost. And it goes away almost immediately.
They don't even really address it. It just kind of shows up. They do their thing with it. Without saying, "What the hell is going on?" And then at the end, then at the very end, and then it just kind of, and then it goes away, and then it gets referenced for a little joke at the end.
Yeah, it's just kind of stupid, but at the same time, the ending was pretty damn good.
The real ending, the final 5 minutes of the movie,
The final like 10-15 minutes of the movie is fantastic. It's classic Pirates of the Caribbean.
Also, and also remember the gold people from Guardians of the Galaxy? That's the British Royal Navy in this movie.
They are there.
They're there just to add the occasional blip on a plot point.
It's not even a good plot point. Like, it's a plot point that even the writers were like, "Oh crap, we gotta finish this plot point."
Well, we can't just cram them into the last big action set piece.
No, we did that in the last movie, and then people weren't happy about that.
And so they just go away too.
Yeah, it's just.
And so after they deliver their last bit of plot convenience, they go away too.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So.
But honestly, for as much as we're crapping on this movie, it's kind of your standard forgettable popcorn flick.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna remember anything about this by the time I get up in the morning tomorrow to go to work.
But at the very least, we got a serviceable Pirates movie.
And it wasn't a bad way to spend an afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, there were worse movies to spend. There are worse movies to spend an afternoon with, and this was one of them. So, really, we can only recommend definitely seeing it if you are a die-hard fan of the Pirates movies.
Yep. Well, I think that's it for everything, guys. So, like and subscribe, and don't forget to check us out next time.
Huh. Wonder what we're gonna go see.
Yeah, I wonder, woman.